this video, we're going to rank the World Series of the aughts, from worst to best. We're using 3 loose criteria: number of games in series, closeness of individual games, and narrative. The aughts were somewhat similar to the 80s in my opinion, with a lot of mediocre series, but some great high points. Let's jump into it. Number 10, 2007. This was the Red Sox second dull sweep of the decade.
Sweeps are boring. Besides that, they're fascist.
This one at least had a couple of one-run games, the 2-1 pitcher's duel in Game 2, and a very exciting Game 4, with the Rockies coming back in the 8th to pull within 1 before one of the more unlikable players in recent memory would shut it down in the 9th, and then probably do a stupid Irish jig afterward. I'm not going to show that. Number 9, 2006. Another stinker, and one where a mediocre team won it all. The 83-win 06 Cardinals stumbled into the playoffs after finishing the year with a 3-9 run, clinching due to a Houston loss on the last day of the season. Then they remembered how to play baseball, I guess. You could say this was an underachieving team that just put it all together at the right time. They did have prime Albert Pujols and Chris Carpenter, as well as Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, and a rookie closer named Adam Wainwright. And of course, Yamo be there. But no, they were not that great of a team. I mean, they won games in this World Series started by Jeff Weaver and Anthony Reyes. This series did have some drama and controversy, with the Tigers' one victory drawing criticism due to Kenny Rogers' seeming use of the proverbial sticky stuff. And there was a tight back-and-forth Game 4, but that's about it. Number 8, 2004. I'm sure for Boston fans, this feels like it should be higher, as this was the end of the curse of the Bambino. But for the rest of baseball fans, this was a total snooze fest. A real letdown after a couple of amazing LCSs in 2004. The 04 Cardinals were a great team. This was the year of the MV3, but they didn't show up in this series, and the Red Sox were not to be denied after their amazing comeback against the Yankees. Only in Game 1 did St. Louis show any sort of fight when they came back from a 7-2 hole to tie it. And after falling behind 9-7, tied it again in the 8th before Mark Bellhorn dealt the deciding blow. The rest of the series lacked any shred of drama. Number 7, 2008. Okay, this is a 5-gamer with 3 one-run games, not bad. Plus, it's the first World Series appearance by the Rays in a surprising last-to-first season. Game 3 is the high point of this one, with the Rays coming back down 4-1 going into the 7th, then the Phillies walking it off in the 9th after a devastating wild pitch throwing air combination would put a runner at third with nobody out.
Chop to third, play at the plate, Phillies take Game 3.
Then the clinching Game 5 was a bizarre one. The Rays knotted the game up at 2 in the 6th before the tarp came out. The game would be suspended for 2 whole days. Grant Balfour had been the Rays' current pitcher when the rain started, so he got 2 days worth of in-game rest, but it didn't help as he promptly gave up a double and an RBI single. Then the Rays would come right back with a Rocco Baldelli homer before Pedro Feliz would give the Phils the lead back with a single in the 7th. The Rays would put a runner in scoring position with 1 out, but Brad Lidge would shut the door.
Swing and a miss! Struck him out!
Number 6, 2009. This was a 6-gamer at least, but not a lot of great games. Really, the only one worth talking about is the Game 4 7-4 Yankees win, which was much closer than the final score would tell you. The Phillies closed 2 separate 2-run Yankees leads in this game, tying it at 4 in the bottom of the 8th with a Pedro Feliz home run. But the Yankees would blow it up in the top of the 9th after Brad Lidge had retired the first 2 batters. A single followed by a steal of second and third on the same pitch. Then, hit by pitch, double, single. And that was that for the drama in this series. Number 5, 2003. Okay, another 6-gamer, but this one's an upset by the Marlins of the Yankees. And it's got at least one great game in the pivotal Game 4, where the Marlins blew a 3-1 lead in the 9th on a 2-out Ruben Sierra triple. Then they'd walk it off in the 12th with an Alex Gonzalez homer to even the series. Other than that, there's a tight 3-2 Game 1 and not a whole lot of drama otherwise. The Game 6 clincher is a 2-run game, but the Yankees never really get anything going against Series MVP Josh Beckett, who throws a complete Game 5 hitter.
Florida Marlins, the fishes swam upstream, are the world champions.
Number 4, 2000. This one has a lot of built-in narrative with crosstown teams facing each other for the first time in October. It's only a 5-game series, but every game in this series is filled with tension. Unlikely hero Jose Vizcaino was all over Game 1. 4 for 6 from the 9-hole for this utility man the Yankees had picked up in a deadline deal, sending fellow Yankees World Series legend Jim Leyritz to the Dodgers. Vizcaino would start a 2-run rally in the 6th to kick off the scoring for the Yankees. But the Mets would take the lead with an onslaught of singles in the 7th. They'd take that 3-2 lead to the 9th, with Armando Benitez trying to close it down, first and second for Vizcaino. This would set up a Knobloch sac fly to tie it and send us to extras. The Yankees would load the bases in the 10th with 1 out looking to walk it off, but Jose Vizcaino is nowhere in sight, so forget about that. But then in the 12th, the Yankees would load the bases once again with 2 outs for
Vizcaino, left field, base hit. Yankees win Game 1.
Game 2 is kind of a crazy game as well.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Broken bat, foul ball off the right side, and the barrel of the bat came out to Clemens, and he picks it up and throws it back.
What did he say? I think he said it was the ball, and we just kind of were very confused.
Yeah. Anyway, other than that weird rage moment, the rest of this game was uncompelling as the Yankees went up 6-0 through 8. But in the 9th, the Mets would do this. Single, home run, single, and then Joe Torre says, okay, enough of that, it's Rivera time. And after a near homer by Todd Zeile, the Mets go single, ground out to the pitcher for the second out, then a home run by Jay Payton, and it is 6-5. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately for the Mets at that point, utility infielder Kurt Abbott was the only option to bat for the Mets. Let's come back to reality now. He's no Vizcaino, and this is the greatest closer of all time. Game 3 was also a tense game, tied at 2 in the 8th before the Mets scored 2 to secure their 1 win in the series. Game 4 was yet another 1-run game, but the clinching Game 5 ups the intensity even more. The Yanks tied it up at 2 in the 6th, but the Mets decide to stick with Al Leiter in the 9th, and it seems like a smart move as he Ks Martinez and O'Neill. But then a walk and a single brings Luis Sojo to the plate, and a series which started with utility infielder heroics ends with utility infielder heroics. The Yanks pull off the three-peat, something we may never see again, with the playoff format being what it is now. Number 3, 2005. Yes, I've got a sweep at number 3 on this list, but this is maybe the most exciting sweep you'll ever see. This was the end of the 87-year Black Sox curse for Chicago, and it was the first World Series appearance for Houston. Every game here is tight, and Houston could have easily come out of these 4 games up 3-1 if a few things had broken their way. Game 2 is maybe the best of the 4. The Astros take a 4-2 lead into the 7th when the White Sox get a grand slam by Paul Konerko to go up 2. Then the Astros would put runners on 2nd and 3rd in the top of the 9th with 2 outs for shortstop Adam Everett. Oh wait, Phil Garner's pulling him back.
It's Vizcaino, more of a contact hitter.
It is happening again.
Vizcaino, a base hit to left. 1-run score.
It is happening again.
Okay, World Series god Jose Vizcaino gets a 2-out, 2-run, game-tying, pinch-hit single in the 9th. But it was short-lived this time, as unlikely power threat Scott Podsednik, he hadn't gone deep all season, would walk it off with a 1-out bomb in the bottom half. Then Game 3 is another classic, a 14-inning war of attrition. The Astros went up 4-zip through 4 before the Sox exploded for 5 to take the lead. Then the Astros tied it up in the 8th. In the bottom of the 9th, things would get dicey for El Duque as he pitched around a walk, an error by himself, a steal of 3rd, another walk, and let's throw in an intentional walk too. But he'd come out unscathed. Off we'd go into extras for quite a while. It's very tense, of course, but there are no crazy jams. No runner ever gets to 3rd until the 14th. Oh, and in the 13th, the White Sox bunt into a double play.
It shows bunt. Bunts it right out in front of the plate. It's gloved by Osmus. The second one. The relay to first. 2. A double play.
But in the top of the 14th inning, the Sox would break through with a solo homer by Jeff Blum, a guy who had 2 homers in 2005 and had come over mid-season in a trade and played all of 31 games in his whole career as a White Sox, but he would become a White Sox World Series hero. Podsednik and Blum, a real murderer's row there. They'd tack on another run in that inning and go into the bottom half. With 1 on and 2 out, a grounder to Juan Uribe is booted to extend the game to Adam Everett. And once again, Garner would pull Everett back for Vizcaino. This is too good to be true, right? Yeah, it is. I'm lying. He had already pinch hit with Vizcaino to lead off the 13th, where he had worked a walk, which of course he did. He's a World Series god. Anyway, Ozzie Ian would go to his Game 2 starter Mark Burley to notch a 3-pitch save. So then, Game 4, I guess dudes were tired from the 14-inning game the night before because nobody could hit in this one. The White Sox finally broke through in the 8th with a 2-out RBI single by Series MVP Jermaine Dye. Bottom of the 8th, the Astros would put runners at the corners for lefty-hitting Mike Lamb. Guillen would bring in his loogie, Neil Kotz, and guess who Phil Garner would actually go to this time to count it. Okay, I'm trying to build up the drama, but you already know what happens. The White Sox win 1-0 in sweep. The mighty Jose would ground out. There is no God. Number 2, 2002. Okay, we're at number 2, and we're only now getting to a truly great series. Some interesting ones so far on this list, but this is the first classic. It's a NorCal-SoCal battle, the first World Series appearance for the Angels, who at this point were known as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim in Orange County, California, USA. And the Giants, who were at this point still seeking their first ever World Series championship in San Francisco. Barry Bonds got off to a great start in his first ever World Series at bat.
And that's crushed into right field. First World Series at bat, home run Bonds.
And the Giants would hold off the Angels and win this first game 4-3. Game 2 is a wild slugfest. The Angels teed off in the first inning on Russ Ortiz with 6 base hits, and then capped off the 5-run inning with a steal of home by designated hitter Brad Fulmer on a play that generally only works in Little League. But the Giants would come right back with 4 in the second on back-to-back homers by Reggie Sanders and David Bell. The Angels tacked on 2 more in the bottom half with a 2-run shot by Tim Salmon. Then a whole bunch more scoring happens, so much scoring you get bored with scoring, so let's skip forward to where it's 9-9 going into the 8th, when Tim Salmon hits another 2-run bomb. Then, in the bottom of the 9th, we're treated to the one rare instance where it makes 0 sense to pitch around Barry Bonds. Up to nobody on in the 9th inning. You can guess what happens.
Ripped into right field. It's a 1-run game as Bonds gets his second of the series.
But in this situation, that's about as valuable as a walk. And Percival gets the next guy and the Angels win. But also, with this low-quality video here where you can't really make out the ball, it makes it seem like it was launched into the infinite. After a blowout in Game 3, the Giants come back from a 3-run deficit to tie Game 4 in the 5th, then get the decisive 4th run in the 8th on a David Bell single. Game 5 is a Giants blowout, but features a very memorable moment where JT Snow scores on Kenny Lofton's triple and swoops up Dusty Baker's young son Darren to keep him safe from the ensuing play at home plate.
How about that? First pitch in the big leagues.
And yeah, that's Darren Baker getting his first MLB hit. So the Giants were up 3-2 going back to Anaheim in Los Angeles and California. Game 6 is the highlight of this series. The Giants go up 5-0 heading into the bottom of the 7th. The Angels down to their last 9 outs. They put 2 on for Scott Spiezio.
Belted to right field. Back on it goes Sanders. At the wall. He can't get it. Home run!
Then bottom of the 8th, Darren Erstad hits a leadoff homer to cut it to 1. Then single, double.
Into left center field. Bonds on the run, won't get it. And the Anaheim Angels have come all the way back and lead it 6-5.
An incredible comeback with their backs against the wall. And the Angels would seal the series the following night to bring a championship to LA, Anaheim, and California. And really might as well include all of us. We're all winners here, right? Yeah. Number 1. 2001. The Yankees were looking to 4-peat in this series, and in a normal year, they'd be far from the emotional favorite against a team making their World Series debut. But this was less than 2 months after 9/11, and I would guess that most people were rooting for New York. The Diamondbacks got off to a dominating start with their 1-2 punch of Schilling and Johnson, before the series headed to New York for 3 of the most electric baseball games I've ever watched. Game 3 was a tense pitcher's duel between Roger Clemens and Brian Anderson, surprisingly. The Yankees managed to scratch out 2 runs and went 7 innings with Roger before he handed it off to Mariano Rivera for a 6-up, 6-down save. Game 4 is where it gets really good. The D-backs were very light after their top 2 starters, so they elected to pitch Schilling on 3 days rest. And he shoved, going 7 and striking out 9 and allowing just 1 run. They went into the bottom of the 9th, leading 3-1. With 2 outs and a runner at first,
Martinez hits one to deep right center field. At the wall. Tie game.
The Yankees went to Mariano for a shutdown 10th, and then with 2 outs in the bottom half, the D-backs stuck with closer Byung-Hyun Kim for a 3rd inning.
Jeter hits it into right. Back at the wall. Game over. Yankees win and the series is tied.
Game 5 was even better somehow. Once again, with a 2-run lead in the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, and 1 on against Kim.
Brosius hits one into left. Back at the wall. The Yankees have tied it again.
Mariano Rivera would battle for 2 innings against 41-year-old Mike Morgan, who would shockingly shut the Yankees down for 2 1/3 innings. In the top of the 11th, the Diamondbacks would load the bases with 1 out, but Mariano would get out of the jam, helped by a diving catch by Alfonso Soriano. And in the bottom of the 12th, it would be Soriano again.
Into right field, base hit. Here comes Knobloch. The throw by Sanders. Play at the plate, Yankees win.
Then back to Arizona, where Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling were waiting. The big unit shut them down in a 15-2 blowout. And then in Game 7, Soriano put the Yanks on top with an 8th inning solo shot. The D-backs went to Randy Johnson in relief on 0 days rest, and he retired all 4 batters he faced. Going into the bottom of the 9th, against Rivera, down 1, things didn't look great for the Diamondbacks. But they get a Mark Grace single to lead it off, then an E1 on Rivera's throw to second base trying to get the lead runner on a sac bunt attempt. Then a Tony Womack double would tie the game and put runners at second and third. After a hit by pitch, Luis Gonzalez would step to the plate to put an exclamation point on an amazing World Series. Thanks for watching, and please be like Miggy here and give this video a like. So that's the aughts, which were certainly not the greatest World Series decade, but in our next video on this topic, we will cover what I would argue is the best World Series decade, in my lifetime at least, the 2010s.